Welcome, everybody. And welcome to Chicago Yacht Club. On behalf of the club, it is my pleasure to welcome all the competitors of the 117th Race to Mackinac presented by Wintrust. Whether this is your first MAC or one of many, we're delighted to have you here and proud to welcome you as part of this incredible tradition. Thank you to Wintrust for its continued partnership and its support, and our other sponsors, and our Race to Mackinac committee, volunteers, and everyone who's worked throughout the years to make this race possible. We wish you a great race, a safe passage to Mackinac. Sail fast, sail safe.
Thank you, Commodore. Thank you. For those who I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, most of you by email, my name is Kevin Foote. I am lucky enough to be the chair of this year's Race to Mackinac Committee. I'd like to welcome you also, and I'd like to tell you it's a bleeping great job. So I appreciate you guys putting your trust in me for the next coming days. I want to make sure a big shout out to all of our sponsors. Seriously, we couldn't do it without them. Wintrust, obviously, our presenting sponsor. Gay, Sam Adams, Tattinger, Grey Goose, Patron. Anybody catching a theme? I got more ass in the morning with that. So Larson Marine Harkin out here to help you out, and Team One Newport right here. Not to mention Visit St. Pete and Newport, right? All right, with that, before we get on to the next piece, thank you. I would like to welcome to the stage Chief Warrant Officer Les Dillon of the United States Coast Guard. The Coast Guard takes care of us every single year. They deserve a ton of thanks. Very glad to have you here. Thanks for coming. We have a little presentation, a little gift for you. My goodness. Yeah, I think it looks like they might need another hand or two. I'll just stand back here. Officer Dillon, thank you. And please pass on our thanks to everybody else on station. I know this bunch and somebody needs to keep an eye on, I can tell you that. All right, we're going to get through a few points of emphasis here, and then ask the race committee to probably make the same points of emphasis, because I know you guys and you need to hear things more than once. Number one, courtesy. Reminder, this meeting is a courtesy. All right. What's on the notice board, SIs, NORs, racing rules, and sailing, flags that fly at the committee vote. Those take precedence. We're open to making people smoother here, but this is not the be all and the end all of the rules. Right? Second point about courtesy. Everyone is going to be courteous and respectful to all the members of the organizing authority, docking, race committee, etc. All right. We've had some issues in the past. We're not going to have it again. These people are volunteers, which means they're working and not getting paid. So please be cooperative, be kind, help them out. All right. Next, the person in charge is it's not a trick question. Work with me here, people. The person in charge is the person in charge, which means it is your responsibility to read and understand the racing rules of sailing, the CMSRs, the SIs, the NORs, skippers. Don't have your crew work their butts off just to get you first across the line and then make some silly mistake. Know what you're doing. Help the skipper with that as well, okay? And last on this page, the boat's decision to race or to continue racing is hers and hers alone. We're going to try and get you as prepared as we possibly can, but once you get out there to the race course, it's all your decisions. Keep that in mind. All right. to emphasize this year. One, we always come to it. Fair sailing, all right? Don't cheat. Basically, don't be a good person, all right, on the race course. Sportsmanship and fair play. Number two, you know what's new this year? We're requiring AS transponders. Everybody's been great so far. I know it's been a lot of work, but this means you gotta use the thing. You can't turn it off. You can't diminish its use. And that's not just in the SIs 3.4. That's part of the racing rules of sailing. All right. Next, I love this. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. Some things to keep in mind that are a little bit new this year. Number one, the Nautical Cloud Competitor app. You all had it last year because we used it to file your finish report. You're also going to use it this year to do your pre-race check-in tomorrow. So make sure you got the app. For those of you who used it last year, you probably still have it. You all have like 5,400 apps on your phone already. What's another one? Number two, no more parade of boats past Navy Pier. We had some issues last year, skipped it, with shallowing up out there. We also had some other complications with traffic, so it's off the board, okay? Number three, we've all seen that we have combined some class starts. We got some smaller classes. It just makes sense, all right? We can't keep everybody out there for a class of 7, a class of 8, et cetera, et cetera. You guys can handle 15, 20, 25 boats on the line. I've seen it before. I know you can do it. Next, marks of the course. Look at that. It could be Can 3 or it could be South Green Shore Buoy. A couple of people decided that that wasn't mark of the course last year. Somebody even thought it's such a nice not mark of the course. We're going to hang out here for a couple of hours parked on. It's a mark of the course, just like Can 3 is a mark of the course. All right. Pay attention to them, know them. I hate to tell you, but the technology is catching up with all of us. If you skip a mark of the course without even being out on the water, and you're not going to like the result of that. Okay. So again, back to person in charge. Read your SIs, know your marks. We're going to be keeping an eye on it. And last, wristbands. Small change at the party, although I think it's a big change. There are no more tickets. You're just going to get wristbands, one for every. Don't vote now. Every crew member is going to get a wristband. All right. Or at least your skip, whoever turns in the track is going to get wristbands. All right. Go find that person. The wristband is good for all you can drink at the party. I fear I've made a terrible mistake. Be careful, but look, if you've got other folks that are coming up to the island, it's good for all you can drink at the party. It's still a pretty damn good deal. But this way you don't have to deal with individual tickets. I'm sorry already, Jesus. Got way too much applause. What? Buy them ahead of time. Thank you, Jen. Buy them ahead of time because like getting into the party can be a bit of a clog. You can buy them ahead of time online and pick one up at Mission Point. So go ahead and do that. Save yourself more time to go into the party and use it. Quick reminder, you guys know the lake is an incredible resource. We got to take care of it. We got to start with that in the harbors. So clean harbors, both here and up on Mackinac. No full fuel containers on the docks. All right. If anybody wants to quickly get the QR code, get them now. Again, I think most of these you have them last year. The Scratchbook app is up and running. Just like last year, you can see times given, times gotten. And again, the Nautical Cloud app, that's again for your check-in tomorrow and your I'm not even going to include retirement because everybody's getting to the island, and for your finish reports, go across the finish line. Okay, those are also, they're in the SIs, so let's move on. Ways to follow the race. Again, these are in the SIs, but you can use the QR codes to get all the handy links that you need. And please follow us, help us, share us. It increases the exposure of the race, which drives more sponsors, which brings more money, which makes this thing actually go. Tag us, send us media, and be a part of the race. It's all the rage, I'm told. Lastly, these are the folks that you can thank for all of this. That's the Race and Outcome Committee, or a subset thereof. And there's your race committee along with them. All right. Next, people that you only want to meet at the bar. This is our jury. You can thank them now and say, I hope to never see you again. But look, they are committing a lot of time, a lot of effort. They're getting paid a tremendous amount for it. And they care. They're really great. So Lance Smotherman, our chief judge, should be around here somewhere. Shannon Bush, who was new to the team, but we're trying to actually make a good impression. John Porter is back, and so is Trish Smotherman as jury secretary. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it over to people who actually know what they're doing. Our race PRO and DRO, they signal Jen Dorsch. Thank you.
Well, welcome. There's a lot that's the same as last year. I know a lot of you have done this race a bunch of times, so some of this might be a little boring, but I hope it's not. And we do have some changes this year. So the biggest new thing is the electronic check-in. You don't go by Navy Pier. You don't check in at a boat. You check in with the app. We'll go over that in more detail in a minute. The other thing we'll show you is there are some combined class starts. What's not new is the skyline mark. The bridge call-in that we all used to do is gone, and there's no need to confirm your finish. So you'll monitor the right VHF channel that's in the sailing instructions, you'll finish, and then you'll go to docking, all right? And we'll talk about each of these in turn. So first of all, there's no Navy Pier. That's gone. Should give you a little bit of more time before the race. Electronic check-in. I'm actually going to let Jen cover this.
Okay, so by default, the person in charge and the reserve person in charge have authorization to use the app. If you are one of those people and have not downloaded the app, you should download the app. You need to register the app with the same email address that you registered for the race with. If you go into the app and you don't see your boat name linked to you in that app, it's not set up. My request to you guys is to look tonight, because with 200 boats starting tomorrow, we were not going to be able to call all of you and walk you through getting it set up. It's not hard. You'll put your email address in, it'll send a code to your email, and it'll pop up on your boat. So 120 minutes before your starting sequence tomorrow, the app will turn on and you'll be able to check in. So it'll pop up and say check in. If you are the person in charge or reserve person in charge and say, I am not the technology person, I am delegating this to somebody else, that is okay, but they need to log in and make sure that they also see this screen. If they can't, come find me after the skippers meeting or send an email to regattamanager@cycracetomac.com so we can get it all set up today so nobody is stressed out tomorrow about this.
Yeah, today for the cruising start, they almost all got it right. And if they can do it, you can do it, right?
That's a race.
Sorry. All right, combined starts. Here's an example. Class 8 and Class 7 are going to start together, as are like Class 9 and the T10. There are some, like the Beneteau 36-7s, the J105s have a separate start, but there's a decent number of you who are going to be starting together. Please know when your start is, and just know that they are combined. So if you're in Class 9, don't be shocked that you're starting with tartan tens. We will have the same exclusion zone as we have every year. There'll be 2 green markers. Don't go in the box when it's not your time. We'll have a marshal boat or 2 out there, gently urging you not to go where you're not supposed to go. The pin boat is Anna Marie, same as last year. And the signal boat is Carrier, that boat right there. Again, same as last year. And we'll be out there in plenty of time to get you all going. Look for these flags. You know, there's going to be judges out there. There's going to be at least 2 marshal boats. There's going to be press boats and then VIP boats. Those are the only boats that should be bothering you. We're going to have help from the Coast Guard Auxiliary and from the local DNR and Chicago Police to keep the exclusion zone excluded. But, you know, there will be these boats. They're really good and they know to stay out of your way. All right, finish. Same thing with the app. I'm going to turn it over to Jen.
Leif keeps telling me he doesn't know technology. I don't believe him.
I don't want to know.
So when you near the finish line up on the island, the person in charge or reserve person in charge will get a text message and an email with a link that will take you into the app to declare your finish. So if you know the boat ahead and a boat behind you, you'll enter that in, you'll put the time that you crossed the line, and that's how you submit it. You no longer have the yellow cards that you used to return with your trackers. So this is how you declare your finishes. If for some reason, I know Kevin says everybody's making it to the island, I want to see everybody up there to make the docking team play boat Tetris and get as many boats on the island as we can. If you have to retire for some unfortunate reason, you can do that from the app. So you can also go in there and register your retirement and let us know if you're okay. You can put notes in there if you need assistance. We're around. We'll be up in the guard shack 24 hours a day once you get up there, and Leif will talk about what you do and how you get your drink tickets.
No tickets. No tickets, wristbands. Remember that? Did he say unlimited pour, Jen? No. Okay, so finish declarations. You do finish with the app. It's just as Jen described. You'll get an email or you'll get a text when you're getting near the finish line. That absolutely does not mean that your finish is confirmed. You'll get this text when you're near the finish line, and it'll remind you to do your finish declaration. And monitor channel 73. That's where the race committee will be until you go over to docking. All right. The one thing I do have to say, and Kevin mentioned it, we have some volunteers who do docking. And, you know, I've done this race. I know that when you get up there, all you want to do is tie up, go to the pink pony, do whatever you do. But please, please, please be kind to them. They try to fit a lot of boats in a little space. If you're given a slip, please stay there unless someone from docking tells you you can move. Again, we're responsible to the DNR, and these people really work 24/7 to try to get as many boats there in the harbor as they can. The shed where you're going to return your tracker is that little house on the main dock, the docking control trackers that's shown in this drawing. So after you're kind of tied up, make sure that you've already, hopefully, submitted your finished declaration. You turn in your YB tracker at this little hut on the dock. You get your wristbands, and then hopefully we'll see you all at Mission Point. And that's it. Thank you very much for coming out. The race committee loves running this race for all you. And have a good race.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's great to be back here again for the world's greatest offshore race. This is my 40th forecast
for the Chicago Mac race. Eventually, I'm going to get it right. And eventually, I promise when I do, I will retire. All right, standard, yeah, lottery ticket, higher probability. For standard disclaimers coming up here, so I'm going to do my best here to outline how I expect the weather to proceed. But we all know this is Great Lakes and things can change and they can change rapidly. Even made some small changes in the forecast from this morning's group. Now that they've left, don't tell them. Basically the official source of weather information, of course, is NOAA, National Weather Service. They're the ones responsible for issuing warnings and advisories on the lake. And so you should be monitoring those in case anything changes. Also, we all use weather apps for getting our weather information, and that's great. There's lots of really spectacular information and really interesting ways of displaying it. However, keep in mind that the apps don't always push the watches and the warnings and the advisories to you. So make sure you have something that is doing that. The VHF is sort of your last line of defense on that. And also keep in mind that the information on your weather app is a combination of hard science and it looks pretty. And the looks pretty part sometimes takes away from the actual information and the data. And so radar, for example, gets smoothed and you don't see all the detail that's really there. And so that information is not as great as it could be if you were looking at the raw data. Sometimes the radar data is delayed 10 to 15 minutes, so it's not really necessarily real time. So make sure that you're looking at that or understand that. So you're responsible for your safety and the safety of your crew. If something doesn't look right in the weather, make sure you're checking to see what's going on in case the forecast has changed. All right. So as always, I start the briefing out with talking about thunderstorms, and because we've had some doozies on the lake, we all know. Fortunately, this year it doesn't look too bad. There may be something up on the northern part of the lake, probably about a 20 or 30% chance, but Sunday into Monday. We'll take a look at that in the forecast. But right now, the outlook for tomorrow and into Sunday morning looks free and clear of any thunderstorm activity. Then, as you see here, the Severe Storm Center has flagged an area just over the northern lower peninsula and much of the upper peninsula, northern Lake Michigan, for general thunderstorms. That's what that's called, non-severe thunderstorms. So there is a small chance of something happening up there toward the end of the race. All right, here's our current weather map. We look at the big picture here to see what's driving our winds for this race. And for the most part, it's that big H that's over the upper peninsula. That high pressure is going to be kind of floating around for a little bit, and it's up to the north of us right now, which means we're on the southeastern periphery of that. And you think about the circulation around a high pressure, that gives us a north and northeast gradient wind flow across the lake. Not strong, but that's what's driving the winds for us, and that will continue to be the case into tomorrow. Now, the satellite picture right now shows pretty clear conditions. We have this high cloud over us here, which is basically the tops of thunderstorms out in Iowa and the Central Plains getting sheared off and blown over us by the upper level winds. No threat or anything of that stuff coming our way Otherwise, you see the beautiful clear air over the lake. Why? Because it's cold, and there's clouds over the land because it's warm, at least right now during the daytime. That warm air over the land is rising in thermals and generating some clouds. Meanwhile, over the cold water, the air is sinking, and so we don't have any clouds over the water. Radar is also clear. You'll see there's a few showers underneath some of those thermal clouds up northern Wisconsin and northern Lower Peninsula, but nothing of consequence. Wind field today, what the cruising fleet went out into is that northerly, northeasterly flow coming down the lake being generated by the high pressure. It's a little bit accelerated down here at the bottom end of the lake because there is a thermal pull sort of bringing it down the lake. So that will disappear tonight. This will weaken because we'll lose that thermal component. All right, the wave state's pretty small. We got about a foot of chop out there, nothing too significant, and I'm not expecting waves to be a big issue. Got to talk about lake temperature. This year, the lake is running around 4 to 8 degrees colder on average than it was this time last year. The southern part of the lake is basically in the low 70s water temperature. The mid and upper part of the lake is in the mid to upper 60s. That's important because one of the driving factors for breeze when we have light winds are lake breezes and land breezes, and those are all thermally generated, and they depend on the difference in temperature between the lake and the land. So if we have a colder lake, that generally means we have stronger lake breezes. If we have a colder lake, it means we have weaker land breezes. All of that depends, though, upon the temperature of the land. And this year, the relative temperature is probably not that much different than last year because we have this cooler air mass over us right now that came down after that front went through last night. So we have a little bit cooler air here. So it's going to keep conditions favorable for lake breezes, as we'll see, and also for land breezes, especially on the Michigan side. All right, the weather map tomorrow morning, you see there's no H here, but there should be one. It's basically sitting over Wisconsin, but you can see it's a distinct lack of isobars over us. If we have isobars, that means we have wind, we have gradient wind. Fewer isobars or isobars spread apart means the wind is lighter. We've got isobars quite spread, so the wind is lighter, but that we still have this circulation nonetheless around the high pressure. It's just not a particularly strong one. Here's the wind field tomorrow morning. Again, as I mentioned, the wind will get lighter overnight, and indeed it does. And also it shifts from the east a little bit in the morning. That's a temporary condition. As soon as the sun comes up, we'll start to see thermals and start to see lake breeze develop, and we'll take a look at that in a second. But that lighter wind keeps the winds or the waves down over the lake. All right, here we go. Saturday for the start. We have what you can see there is a lake breeze developing. So we've got light northerly winds in the southern portion of the lake. You can see they're sort of tilted on shore or veered on shore here off Chicago, basically from the northeast. Exactly how strong that wind is, it will depend a little bit on how much momentum we keep over the lake overnight. If we keep a little bit of momentum going, then that wind may be a little bit stronger tomorrow. But if the lake glasses off overnight, which I'm not expecting, but if it does, then we will have lighter conditions. Notice how the lake breeze is stronger and getting more developed on the Michigan shore and lighter on the Wisconsin shore. That's a feature of having a northeast gradient. When you have a northeast gradient, it favors the lake breeze on the Michigan side. When you have a southwest gradient, which favors the lake breeze on the Illinois-Wisconsin side. So the better pressure is going to be on that side of the lake tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, we have high pressure, as you can see, starting to slowly drop south across the lakes. if you draw a line basically between the two high pressure areas, to the south, we have sort of a northeast-east gradient. To the north, it's now starting, it's shifted around and it's west or southwest. So it's that circulation around the high pressure. So as you go up the lake, you're going to be transitioning through the middle of that high pressure. Guess what? There's not going to be much wind there. And that's unfortunately going to happen just probably for most of you somewhere off the Michigan shore. So you're going to get a really good look at Michigan for a while. All right, here we are Saturday evening, and we see that stronger breeze coming down the lake. That's the accelerated flow due to the thermal. Notice again, it's still stronger over on the Michigan side than it is on the Illinois-Wisconsin side. So basically, what it looks like we're going to be trying to do is get across toward Michigan and then stay in as best pressure as you can, and then also set up for where the next breeze is going to come from. Still pretty slack waves. Then overnight, that wind, just like it's going to tonight, that thermal component dies and the wind will veer to the east. Remember the circulation around that high pressure just up to the north is basically an easterly gradient. So that's going to be coming off the shore. And over on the Michigan side, it's actually going to get a little bit of an additional acceleration because there will be a land breeze component over there. Sunday morning, the high is continuing to drop south. And so that southwest flow that's up over developing over northern Lake Michigan is going to start back building down the lake. And so the boats that get into that southwest pressure first are going to continually get into more and more breeze as they get further north in the lake. And eventually also that southwesterly will kind of fill down the lake as the high moves away. So here we are Sunday morning around just after sunrise. And we see that the easterly on the lake has veered around more into the southeast. It's starting to get ready to set up that southwesterly and connect with the southwesterly that you see already going in the northern part of the lake. And that southwesterly just continually gets better. Pretty flat water on the lake. Now I'm putting this up here this is one particular model. Not all the models are showing this. But I just want you to have an awareness of it. I honestly don't think it's going to be a big deal, but guess what? I've been wrong before. So basically what you see on this loop are some thunderstorms up in Canada Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, throw a little bit of an outflow boundary down across the lake and some showers Sunday morning. And then Sunday afternoon and evening, there's a much bigger thunderstorm that develops up over Ontario and moves just to the east of Mackinac Island. So just be aware that there may be some activity up there. So during the morning on Sunday, it might be a good time to just check back in on the weather forecast, check your radar apps to see if anything's happening up in that area. All right. On Sunday, the expectation is that we'll have a full lake breeze in the southern part of the lake and that the southwesterly is going to be building up in the northern part of the lake. So that transition zone on the Michigan shore I talked about is going to go into lake breeze. So that southeasterly at a very light speed is going to veer around into the southwest and then to the west, kind of blow perpendicular onto the Michigan shore. It'll be lighter out in the middle of the lake where all the air is sinking. And then eventually, I don't know why that came up. There we go. Eventually, that southwesterly that you see is going to get firmer and continue to back build down the lake. And as you're going up in that light lake breeze, you'll connect into it. So here's the forecast for Sunday. Now the high is south on the lake, and pretty much the whole fleets should be on the north side and in that developing southwest gradient. And here we are Sunday night. You can see the southwesterly starting to build and spread across the entire lake. The waves are starting to increase up there, especially on the more exposed western side. And here we are Monday, it's continuing to just gradually build and come down the lake. It's Monday morning, the high now is to the south, so you can guess what the next picture probably shows. Yep, a stronger southwesterly, broader coverage over more of the lake. And then here it is Monday afternoon. We're starting to get into sort of the 15 to 20 knot range coming into the finish during the day on Monday. And then Monday night, you can see it's close to 20. So that's the basic sequence of events. If we look at the router, we can see that the router basically wants to take the fleet. There's 3 different boats here, 3 different speeds. Just to give you some reference point, generally speaking, because of this sort of static weather pattern that's developing, all the boats are basically doing the same strategy. It's just obviously you're going to meet the wind changes at slightly different locations because of your speed. But over time, this one, everything shows you tacking away from the Illinois shore pretty much right after the skyline mark to try and get across the Michigan side and stay in that better pressure. And also, if possible, set up for the easterly shift that is forecast to come out. So then as you go north, the boats that are first up to the southwesterly, that green line, that's the fastest boat. They get up there before it's fully in bloom up there, so they actually have to sail from the Manitous to Gray's Reef a little bit out to the west because the pressure's better out there. It's still lighter inside toward Grand Traverse Bay. But basically, as the afternoon progresses, that area fills in, and the other progressively slower boats can more or less sail straight up. So that's how things are looking this year. I wish you all good luck and be safe. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mixmaster Ron.
Didn't know that, but over the years, I make a lot of fun of Chris. I still will once in a while, but he had a major accomplishment this past year that I want to recognize. Most of you know I'm a long-time Navy Hall geek. I retired from racing a few years ago, but Chris was the other guy for Team Sodi for their Jules Verne record. And phenomenal achievement. They didn't crush the record, but with the conditions they had, it was very difficult to beat. I was glued to it the whole time, but Chris told me that for him, between the lead up to that event and then for over 40 days, with every single grid update, he was evaluating it, providing me data to him. So let's give Chris a round of applause. I sure wish he could get it right for us. Yeah, good enough, was right. Last year, as you who's writing scoring. It's still you need to classify your response from the crowd as less than enthusiastic on average. We took note. We stepped up a little bit, and you may have noticed, hopefully noticed on your custom Chicago Mac Win mixes. We have added 3, we have low, medium, and high wind speed. And roughly speaking, the medium wind speed on low is around 8 knots. On medium, it's about 11, and it's up around 13. So we are using the Chicago Mac mixes now with what we would call triple number. And we one thing we wanted to is to publish those well in advance. And we weren't able to, as you all know, we had a certificate processing toward the end. So, but I can tell you that our remix this year will be all-purpose moderate. And it was kind of interesting when the speed, as I went through and ran on various boats through the fleet to establish that, it came in at about exactly our 11 knot benchmark for moderate. We had a discussion about what would they do if it fell in the middle somewhere. Didn't have to play with that exercise this year. So all-purpose moderate is the wind mix. It's already been pushed to the Scratchbook app, and it was posted on the notice board a little earlier this afternoon. So you'll see those factors out there. And when I called Chris last night actually for the cruising division, really early this morning to work through it with the last weather forecast. And I shot him a text. I said, I was around 5 a.m. or something. I said, call me when you're awake. And he called me shortly after that. He said, you could have called me at 1 and I would have been awake. But his answer to me was, close enough. Seriously. So thank you.
Right, just a few small things to wrap up. I know better than to stand between you guys and a bar that's actually open. Here's what I said. I want to thank you all for your patience and a lot of hard work and a lot of diligence, even with some frustration in getting your rating certificates this year. I know it was the typical process that U.S. Sailing goes through. For those of you who are new this year, getting your ORC certificate for the first time, it is not the way it's supposed to work. I know it was tough. I know our team was backed up and did a ton of work late. We've all gone through it. It's done. Now we get to move on to the fun part. It's actually going racing. But I just want you to know we saw it, we acknowledge it, we felt it as well. And we're going to take that feedback and our own feedback and see if we can make this process better. Use our influence to make this process better going forward. All right. With that, again, shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to you guys. Thank you. Be kind to your race committee, your docking officials, etc. One last time. I'm going to finish up with the thing I say to all my friends: sail safe, sail fast. In that order, please. And I'll see you on the island. Thank you.